From cockroach cigarette deliveries to fake feet felonies, suitcase scandals, and much more insane contraband mayhem, let's open the cell door on the most bizarre cases of prison smuggling the world's ever seen. What's the most important thing you should do before you go to prison? Get yourself a fresh pair of kicks. You never know the next chance you'll get. Well, one Oklahoma inmate was recently denied some fresh penitentiary drip for a truly shocking reason. Officers discovered concealed in the box of a new pair of all-black Air Force Ones were 6 tiny cell phones. Brother. Mistake number 1, everyone knows all-black forces are reserved for crimes. The phones are so tiny you could easily mistake them for toys, but they're fully working, and they're a lot easier to stash inside the cell than an iPhone Pro Max. The same, however, can't be said for these. Oof. This crafty smuggler tried hollowing out the soles of their shoes to smuggle some Nokia brick phones. Not only did they get caught, but now they're that guy rocking around the slammer with the dogs out. Yuck. See, if that were me, I'd have opted for a more functional design like this. Sure, it's just a prototype thing, but it's a lot better than hacking the living heck out of my only pair of shoes. Still, barefoot is better than having your entire foot taken away. This prisoner had theirs confiscated after officers discovered they were using it to smuggle in cell phones. Man, life's gonna be hard inside without your prosthetic. I suppose that's what you get for having a close brush with the law. However, this Russian prisoner took brush with the law a little too literally. A suspicious package they received containing shoe brushes and polish was intercepted by guards, and rightfully so. Inside one of the brushes was, you guessed it, a tiny phone. Keeping physical items hidden is hard enough, but have you ever tried keeping your data private? Thanks to our video sponsor Surfshark, you can do exactly that. Surfshark is a crucial tool for any avid internet surfer like me. Essentially, it lets me browse the entire web stress-free, safe from any malicious internet pirates. Plus, I've only set up one account, and the whole Be Amazed family are protected because it works on unlimited devices. Even better, I pair it with Surfshark Antivirus, an incredible layer of protection that's updated every 3 hours, so I'm safe from even the newest of threats. So go to surfshark.com/amazed for 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. Now, where were we? Big bunk buddies. Ever wondered why so many prisoners look so jacked? Surely that's not just doing push-ups in their cell, right? Well, if they were incarcerated with one Ashley Keeney, maybe not. See, Keeney had forged a secret relationship with an operations instructor, Sally McGrath, at Garth Prison in Lancashire, England. But as well as giving Keeney the goods, McGrath was also bringing actual goods into the prison. After she was caught sneaking pouches of tobacco on her person, police raided her apartment and found packages of testosterone propionate, an anabolic steroid used for accelerating muscle building. They also found mobile phones exposing her secret rendezvous with Keeney with evidence of her being paid to be part of his smuggling ring. Darn, love is the most powerful drug of all. Do you know what else is powerful? Money. That's how ex-Royal Marine Matthew Taylor found himself on the wrong side of the law. He was working as a supervisor at HMP Oakwood near Wolverhampton, England, when he met career criminal Mark Clark. Taylor was convinced to work with Mark's partner Donna Duffus to bring steroids into the prison. Now, the plan never materialized because Taylor got cold feet and suddenly demanded more money. But by now it was too late. His phone records had been tapped and the evidence against him was irrefutable. Taylor was jailed for 1 year and 9 months. Sheesh. I sure hope he wasn't bunking with someone whose supplies he was meant to deliver. That's one tense sleeping arrangement. Bars behind bars. Now, you might think prisoners getting their hands on phones is only to serve their nefarious wrongdoings, but that's where you'd be wrongdoing. 2 Detroit inmates at Macomb Correctional Facility managed to expose mistreatment in the Michigan prison system with the use of a smuggled phone. The cellmates, who go by 24 Superbad 37 and 82 Treasy Banger, self-shot a music video for their song In Dis Cell from In Dare Cell. Check it out.
Locked off in this cell, got me crushing down these blues. Feeling all this pain, barely can take off my shoes. Working on my heart, you can tell it been bruised. I done gave my love and loyalty and been misused.
Nah, for real, this is my jam. Let me crank it.
If it happened twice, then maybe you someone's fool.
Through their song, they highlight the bad conditions inside Macomb. There's water flooding across the floor, and Treasy Banger has to use his blanket as a flood buffer to stop it coming in. Can't say I feel too sorry for them, though. They are in there for second-degree homicide and armed robbery. As a result of their stunt, the two felons were separated, awaiting further criminal charges. Sweet Treat Slammer. For centuries, crafty crooks have been using sugary cakes and other baked goods as facilitators for crimes. Seriously. Back in the early 18th century, notorious criminal pickpocket William Blewett, blew it, getting caught stealing and wound up imprisoned on the ship ready to deport him to the Caribbean. While on board, he learned of a conspiracy by the other prisoners. They'd managed to smuggle a collection of files and saws on board hidden inside gingerbread cakes and were intending on using them to escape before the ship set sail. Well, Blewett saw an opportunity to gain favor, so the wily thief snitched on his fellow prisoners. And sure enough, he was rewarded by the captain with his freedom. So much for all in this together. Some 100 years later, another prisoner, John C. Wilderman, was locked up in the Middlesex County, New Jersey for stealing a mile of trolley wire and causing a cable car to get stranded. Now, John's wife was a tremendous baker. She'd bring her husband mince pies every week, and as the smell wafted through the jail, the warden would always get jealous. So one time she visited, Miss Wilderman brought the warden his own special pie, which he immediately devoured before sinking into a deep sleep. Upon awakening, he found John's cell empty except for 2 discarded handsaws. Now, whether the saws were hidden in John Wilderman's pies, Miss Wilderman smuggled them in by some other means, or the cunning wife slipped the warden a little sleepy time juice, we'll never know. Whatever the case, I bet that warden developed some serious crust issues. Over in Los Angeles around the same time, a Mr. F.J. Humley was sent down for passing a forged check. While inside, he was sent a package containing 2 elaborate and delicious-looking cakes. Only the sheriff who intercepted the package thought the cakes felt unusually heavy. So he plunged his hands into them and sure enough found half of a .38 caliber revolver in each. Apparently, Humley's plan was to assemble the revolver in a cell and use it to threaten the guards, but it backfired without a single pull of the trigger. Humley was sent down for 7 years. Look, maybe you don't have a sweet tooth and you're looking for something a little more savory. No worries. Unlike the prison kitchen, I cater to all palates. In 2019, guards at HMP Stafford in the UK were alerted to a major security breach. Rumor had it one of the prisoners was concealing a dangerous weapon in their room, so the guards conducted a full search of the cells and found some loose electrical casing in one of them. After looking inside, they uncovered, wait for it, a lump of stale bread shaped like a gun. Oh crumbs, that's embarrassing. According to the guards from a distance, it did actually look real. It had been painted black and laboriously carved into shape. Plus, it's only got to look real enough to facilitate an escape attempt. I mean, who's going to feel bold enough to test their luck and get close enough to find out? Not me. Want to know what's scarier than a fake bread gun, though? A real one, hidden in bread. Now, this one didn't quite make its way past the prison gates. It was an attempt to smuggle firearms past the security checkpoint in Nigeria. But the crims responsible were arrested and almost certainly did make it past the gates. That's a slice of luck for us. Hanging out with the homies. I consider myself lucky that I don't know anyone who spent time in jail. Having friends or family locked up knowing you can't see them must weigh heavy. Well, it did for 24-year-old Patrick Rampy. His buddies were all serving time inside Indian River County Jail in Florida, leaving Patrick on the outside by himself. He tried to keep himself entertained, but nothing felt the same without the homies with him. What a bummer. But one night, heavily influenced by something he shouldn't have been smoking, Patrick conceived a crazy plan. If he snuck himself into jail, he could hang out with the boys again and then leave before the guards ever found out. What could go wrong, right? Turns out, everything. Patrick was off his face, he crashed his car directly into the jail and then got stuck climbing the barbed wire fence. But that wasn't the end of his problems. Rempe was charged with aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer, battery on a law enforcement officer, 3 counts of felony criminal mischief, leaving the scene of a crash, $5,000 of property damage, and driving under the influence. Ah, what a dingus. But every cloud has a silver lining. Patrick won't be missing his friends anymore. He can see them all the time in jail. I love a happy ending. Just like a mama's. Nothing beats a home-cooked meal. I'd do unspeakable things for the sweet taste of Mommy's gumbo, and that's about the only thing I have in common with 25-year-old narcotics offender Joshua Hansen. Officers at Jefferson County Sheriff's Office had received a tip-off that prisoners were escaping from federal prison in Beaumont, Texas, to a special drop zone before coming back with various contraband. So prison staff set up surveillance, and sure enough, they saw a vehicle drop off a duffel bag at the expected location before pulling off again. About 2 hours later, Joshua Hansen was spotted running off prison grounds, grabbing the bag and sprinting back. Officers intercepted him and confiscated the bag. But when they pried it open, what they found wasn't what they'd expected. 3 bottles of brandy, a bottle of whiskey, packaged snacks, fruit, candy, tobacco, and a huge amount of home-cooked food like sausages, chicken, rice, and green beans. Damn, homie just wanted that soul food rather than the usual prison slop. What leaves me scratching my head is why Joshua went back after grabbing the duffel. Brother, you've escaped with enough supplies to see you through for a week. Just keep running. Prison break. Is it just me, or are cats always scheming something? I just can't trust them. And neither can the guards at the penitentiary in Russia's Komi Republic. They caught a 4-legged furry felon climbing the fence of Penal Colony No. 1 with 2 packages strapped to its back containing cell phones and chargers. What? Believe it or not, although this was the first cat smuggler in Komi, it was far from it in Russia as a whole. Cats are trained by criminals and used extensively throughout the prison system to get things both in and out. In 2012, narcotics police caught a cat smuggling all sorts of horrific contraband. The cat, presumably a prison pet, had been smuggled out of the prison by released inmates who handed it over to local dealers. The dealers stuffed its collar with illicit goods before releasing it to make its way back to the prison. And these cat burglars aren't just in operation in Russia. In Sri Lanka in 2020, a cat used to mule narcotics and SIM cards to prisoners was detained in Welikata prison. Hold up, they arrested the cat? Oh yeah, and not only did they put Tittles in the slammer, but when guards went in to feed the feline fugitive, it dashed straight past them and out the door. I told you they were a pain. Black tar burrito. I love me some Mexican food. I don't know what extra little seasoning they're adding to it, but boy is it addictive. In fact, it's so good it can turn a straight shooter like Sheriff's Deputy Henry Marin into a crooked man. In 2012, he was caught in an elaborate sting operation trying to smuggle a delicious bean and cheese burrito into a courthouse jail. The plan was cooked up by Carlos Gallardo, a shot caller for the Mexican Mafia, and it went like this. An unnamed woman would arrive at the jail with the goods in hand. She would hand the burrito to Deputy Marin, the inside man who could bypass the jail's tight security. Marin would smuggle the burrito to another prisoner, Robert Alvarez, who would then be in charge of delivering the burrito to Carlos Gallardo. What could go wrong? Well, Gallardo's phone conversations with the unnamed woman were taped by prison officials. Even though Gallardo spoke in code, the guards knew he was up to no good. So they reached out to the woman, who broke down and switched allegiances. Now the double cross was in action. When she arrived at the courthouse that day, she was followed by 2 plainclothed officers who set everything up. She waited for Marin to poke his head out of the courthouse, made the drop-off in secret, and alerted the officers in tow. They leaped into action, arresting Marin and busting the plan. Still, this seems like a lot of effort for a cold bean and cheese burrito. Oh, there's something inside, huh? How much? Almost an ounce? Right, I got it. My bad, I told you, Mexican food really does it for me. Got a roach? Prison sure sounds tough, but solitary confinement sounds a whole lot worse. In Amarillo, Texas, in 1938, one crafty prisoner found a way to make things a little easier for him and his fellow inmates, though, and that was cigarettes. However, smoking cigarettes was banned for prisoners in solitary confinement, so how'd they possibly get their hands on them? That was the question on the county jailer's lips. Perhaps one of the prisoners had a key? But if that was the case, why wouldn't they just escape? Then one day, while the jailer was searching one of the cells, his colleague spotted something incredible. Walking across the corridor was a large cockroach with a cigarette strapped to its back, heading towards a crack beneath the cell door. Huh? After the jailer noticed, it wasn't long until prisoners in the non-solitary cells told him what had been happening. Apparently, the roach had been trained to respond to a whistle. First, a prisoner outside of solitary would tie a cigarette and match to its back, then somebody in solitary would whistle and it would dash the banned goods to them. As unbelievable as the story sounded, the jailer decided to test the theory. He placed the roach with the cigarette attached in another room and whistled. Amazingly, it made its way back to him. After several more tries, it came every time. That's insane. Mystery solved, I guess. Or is it? See, scientists have been able to train cockroaches to perform menial tasks by manipulating light or temperature conditions, but that's in a controlled lab in the 21st century, not in a dingy solitary confinement cell in the 1930s. No one's been able to replicate any test in controlled conditions since. Yet at least 2 separate newspapers did report on the incident in 1938. What do you think? Truth or fabrication? Let me know down in the comments. Oklahoma rope-a-dope. If you believed everything you see in the movies, you'd probably think prisoners shimmy contraband up and down a haphazard daisy chain of bed sheets. But come on, that movie trope is so played out. No one really, what the devil is that? Yep, prisoners in Oklahoma County Detention Center were caught pulling a Shawshank Redemption to smuggle goods in and out of their 10th floor cell. Using makeshift tools, they'd carved a hole into the external wall above the employee parking lot. They'd been using it to lower their makeshift rope down to the ground where accomplices would attach the banned goods. Then they'd haul their, haul back up the wall. Voila! Easy, right? Except it wasn't the smartest of plans. During one haul in 2021, a detention center officer was taking his break in the courtyard and somehow happened to notice the box of goodies being heaved up right in front of him. Like, come on, guys, could you try and at least be a little bit subtle? Upon raiding the cell, staff uncovered 23 cell phones, a pound of tobacco, half a pound of Satan's broccoli, and a whole bunch of other prohibited items. Phew, at least that's busted. However, according to a jail spokesperson, this is always going to be a problem. The jail was built giving prisoners immediate access to the outside through just a few feet of concrete. There's always going to be some crafty crook trying to do something they shouldn't. Maybe next time they should have strapped the contraband onto a crossbow arrow and fired it over the fence instead. That's what this confiscated crossbow and arrows were used for when they were found. Poopy pocket. Sometimes the best way in is through the back door. And yes, that means exactly what you think. On February 11, 2011, at Sarasota County Jail, Deputy Makawaki was conducting a routine search of the inmates in cell block 204WW. However, he noticed something shifty about prisoner Neil Lansing. Really shifty. The deputy ordered a strip search where they discovered Lansing had over 30 items hidden in nature's back pocket. There were 17 pills, 1 cigarette, 6 matches, a flint, an empty syringe, a chapstick container, a CVS receipt, and a coupon. Whoa. Okay, there are a few things to dig into here. 6 matches and a flint for 1 cigarette? Homie seriously wanted that smoke. Secondly, the CVS receipt to me is crazy. What's he hoping to do, return some of these items once he's released? I doubt he's getting out within the 30-day returns policy. And even if he did go free, there are more than minor signs of wear. The old exit hole trick is shockingly common though. In released x-ray scans, prison guards have shown loads of convicts conceal phones up there. Oh, cha. I guess that's why they call it a butt dial. I'm not condoning this, but you need nerves of steel to walk through security with a phone stashed in the chute. One surprise sneeze and it's game over. Forgive us our trespasses. When I'm not churning out this amazing content for you all, I love to have my nose in a book, which is why I'm so happy prisoners behind bars seem to love it too. Only some of them do it for the wrong reasons. Inmates at the New Bilibid prison in Manila, the Philippines, had their Bibles confiscated for taking the good Lord's words out of context. Quite literally. Check this out. Yikes. Prisoners had cut pages out of their Bibles to stash cell phones, chargers, signal boosters, and other computer parts. Jeez. And here's another example where a prisoner has used a hymn book to conceal their phone. That's the thing. No one suspects the person with a Bible under their arm. Other than God, of course. I'm unsure he'd approve of any of this. Make a flap of it. You know that old saying, birds of a feather flock together? Well, that's true for prisoners, and even truer for the ones using real birds to ferry their ill-gotten gains. Prison guards in Franco da Roca, Brazil became suspicious when they spotted inmates frantically chasing a bird in a suspicious vest. Yep, you heard that correctly. Unfortunately for the prisoners, the guards managed to catch the bird first and discovered a secret cell phone and battery strapped to its back. And that's one of the more innocent ones. In 2015, another bird wearing a backpack containing 28 grams of naughty stuff was spotted outside La Reforma prison in San Rafael de Alajuela, Costa Rica, and apprehended. I mean, this pigeon just looks guilty. And over in Kuwait, guards nabbed this homing pigeon ferrying a whopping 178 pills to its destination. Sheesh. The really wild thing about this is homing pigeons only work by flying back to where they've been trained as home. They can't just fly to any old destination. So someone on the inside of these prisons must have spent months training the pigeons undetected, then sent them off to collect their packages and return home with them. That's nuts. I can't even find my way home after a night out. Wings of steel. Birds schmerds, they're a little old-fashioned. One gang in Birmingham, England, used a far more modern tech to control the skies. Inmate Lee Anslow was incarcerated at HMP Hewell in Redditch, and he was still able to orchestrate a complex series of drops from behind bars, all using drones. In around a year, Anslow made a minimum of 55 drops to prisons across the country, providing inmates with phones, SIM cards, and memory sticks, along with other illicit goods. But how when he was stuck in prison himself? Well, he didn't do it alone. He'd communicate with drone pilots on the outside using an illegal phone. They'd then get in touch with prisoners on the inside who'd use their own secret cell phones to guide the drone pilots to drop zones before unhooking the bagged goods with a stick. But the whole empire collapsed after police intercepted 11 drones that either crashed or were recovered loaded with contraband. All the evidence pointed back to Anslow, and when they raided his cell, they found $25,000 worth of contraband, cell phones, earphones, and a list of contacts. Oh, and in the bottom of a Nesquik tub, there was a set of scales. Ooh, buddy. I'd say Anslow scuppered his chances of getting out early on good behavior. Donde está mi abogada? Prisons can be lonely. I'm a physical contact guy, so I can't imagine spooning my cellie would quite scratch that itch. But back in 2011, some prisoners at a maximum security facility in Miami found a way to get themselves a little extra lovin'. Attorneys visiting high-profile clients at Miami's Federal Detention Center were accompanied by some rather alluring paralegal aides. Guys, come on, we know better than to objectify women in the workplace, but these paralegals were more like para-illegals. See, when a guard was checking out the discovery room where attorneys and prisoners could discuss elements of their trial, they burst in on one of the legal assistants and a prisoner. Whoa, sorry, I thought this room was empty. And that's not all. CCTV footage captured another paralegal giving a prisoner a little private dance. Other times, they fed prisoners alcohol by slipping straws through the grates, snuck them money, and even brought in naughty magazines. Ay, Dios mío! So how the heck was all this being allowed to happen? Essentially, all attorneys need to do to designate a legal assistant is sign a form. So at the behest of their criminal clients, they'd been choosing rather untraditional aides. Ones that normally wouldn't be allowed near a maximum security facility. But thanks to being classed as legal assistants, the fake aides could walk straight in along with any contraband they felt like. It's one of the boldest smuggling swindles imaginable, and it's super difficult to prove, so the scam has been allowed to continue. Wild. Okay, you can sneak someone into prison, but what about sneaking someone out? Well, when Antioneta Robles Sauda visited her lover Ibrahim at Jose Ontario Anso Arteche prison, officers were suspicious because she'd taken a large pink suitcase in with her. Weirder still was watching her struggle to carry it out again. Surely not. Yep, the guards found Ibrahim squished inside the case. He was promptly escorted back to his cell and Antioneta was arrested. So maybe they were reunited after all, just not quite how they'd want it. Oh boy, how stupid can you be? And just like that, we've reached the end of the video. Which of these smuggled wares shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments, and until next time, thanks for watching.